This is Part 2 Episode 207. Deep in Nine Remoteness Ocean, each drop of water was as heavy as a mountain, but Luo Feng and Bark Mirror Emperor shot like missiles through the depths. Blade River Emperor, there's no way you can escape. Bark Mirror Emperor roared insanely. Ha ha. You're good at escaping and resisting soul attacks, but unless you have a Flying Palace true treasure, I refuse to believe you can defend yourself against my material strike. Die. Hong. Bark Mirror Emperor waved his paws, and a stream of terrifying, undying power manifested as a blurry grey beam that shot toward Luo Feng, still trying to escape by changing his directions irregularly. Luo Feng was startled. Damn it. Although Bark Mirror Emperor followed the warrior path, releasing undying power was a rather easy way to attack. Normally, it was relatively weak, but Bark Mirror Emperor had extraordinary undying power, which he was currently burning. Even this weak tactic would be enough to kill Luo Feng if he was hit. There were many kinds of true treasures. Sky Wolf Palace and Star Tower belonged to the Flying Palace category of true treasures. When it came to avoiding a fight, such true treasures would come in handy. If Luo Feng were able to hide inside Sky Wolf Palace, enemies couldn't hurt him even if they bombed Sky Wolf Palace continuously. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of true treasure, thought Luo Feng. He maintained his high speed, and each time his Shawu wings shook, the shockwave resulted in great space turbulence. Hong. A pillar of undying power cut through the ocean. Space turbulence and erupted to Luo Feng's right. I've dodged it, Luo Feng thought, relieved. His high-speed changes of direction made him difficult to hit. Ha ha. Bark Mirror Emperor laughed. I was right. You don't have Flying Palace-type true treasures. Blade River Emperor, you're relying on your wings to escape and your soul true treasure to resist soul attacks. Unfortunately, you don't have a true treasure to defend yourself against a material strike. You're doomed. Let's see how many more times you can dodge it. Hong. Hong. Two pillars of undying power were fired at Luo Feng. There was no law comprehension in them, on the contrary, they depended on burning, undying power that could rival Universe Knights. Madness filled Bark Mirror Emperor's eyes. I can't catch up with you, but my undying power can. He was far stronger than Luo Feng and chased him as if trying to swat a troublesome insect. The insect may have been agile and armed with soul true treasures, but if Bark Mirror Emperor used pure undying power to crush him. Unless Luo Feng had a true treasure like Sky Wolf Palace, he would have no chance of survival. Should I summon Mosha Body back? Luo Feng wondered, still changing his directions irregularly. A pillar of undying power flashed beside him while the following one clipped the edge of his wing, spinning Luo Feng around. He was stunned but still managed to change directions again rapidly, making the best of Shawu wings. Although Mosha Body has the talent technique domain, it only works on the body itself. It can't carry me, Luo Feng thought. This was the limitation of domain. It was a completely different skill than teleportation. One could teleport along with other life forms and enter a space ripple together, reaching faraway places instantly. But domain was limited to within a diameter of 6,000 miles of Mosha Body. Domain was achieved when Mosha Body merged with space, then turned back into Mosha Body. Luo Feng's original body couldn't do that, unless, perhaps, he entered the world ring and let it be carried by Mosha Body. However, with Bark Mirror Emperor's permeating undying power, he had no chance of getting into his world ring. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Escaped again. Bark Mirror Emperor smiled smugly. I didn't expect you to dodge my attacks twice. Those wings aid you well in your escape. Let's see if you can dodge it for the third time. Bark Mirror Emperor's madness intensified, as he began to condense a mass of tempestuous undying power. Undying power needed to be condensed in order to be forceful. If it was dispersed among a 600 million mile area, it was feeble and could only be used for detection instead of attacking. When undying power couldn't be condensed further, it formed a godly body. Undying power in 2 threads, roared Bark Mirror Emperor. Cage. Bark Mirror Emperor reached out his paws, and suddenly, thousands of undying power threads shot out in pursuit of Luo Feng. Each of the threads was as concentrated as possible, like Bark Mirror Emperor's godly body. The move had consumed 10% of Bark Mirror Emperor's godly body. Since the start of the battle, all his other moves had only cost him 1%, but this single move, producing thousands of threads, required an immense quantity of undying power. There's nowhere to run. Bark Mirror Emperor seethed. 2 true treasures awaited him after he defeated Blade River Emperor. He could even escape universe overlords if he had those 2. Hong! In an instant, a giant whirlpool appeared before them, producing a massive, tearing current. Bark Mirror Emperor turned toward the whirlpool, astonished. What? As Bark Mirror Emperor watched, a towering red figure emerged from the whirlpool. 2 bloody horns protruded from its head. The figure leveled its gaze at Bark Mirror Emperor. Other races, growled the horned figure. How dare you roam the 9 remoteness ocean? Die. A 9 remoteness whirlpool, said Bark Mirror Emperor. And a great being, in a 9 remoteness whirlpool. He was well aware of the dangers of the 9 remoteness ocean, the deadliest of which being 9 remoteness whirlpool. But he had never expected the whirlpool to appear out of nowhere or for a great being to reside within it. He could sense the horned figure's energy. It was a universe knight. And it was superior to him. Hong! A burning, bloody light from the horned universe knight shrouded Bark Mirror Emperor. Begone! Bark Mirror Emperor cried, manipulating the threads of undying power against the bloody light. It would have been easy to kill Blade River Emperor with these threads, but the great being in front of him was his real enemy. Thousands of threads, making up of 10% of his godly body, coalesced into a spear flying toward the bloody light. Hong! Long! The 2 forces crashed and exploded in the water, each dispersing in the aftermath. You've got some skill, the universe knight said, a bit surprised. Die! Bark Mirror Emperor roared as he cast his talent technique. Silence! Silence engulfed the area around them, and a soundless shock wave ripped forward and slammed into the universe knight in the 9 remoteness whirlpool. But nothing happened. Ha ha, the universe knight chuckled. A soul attack is useless to me. The towering figure with its bloody horns roared and hurled himself at Bark Mirror Emperor. You can do nothing to me, Bark Mirror Emperor scoffed. The thousands of threads had consumed 10% of his godly body while the strike from the enemy had cost him less than 2%. Although Bark Mirror Emperor knew he was weaker than this great being, he was unafraid. It's no wonder only 1 in 100 universe knights survives the 9 remoteness whirlpool, said Bark Mirror Emperor. Is anyone who shows up here as powerful as this universe knight? I'll disregard him now. I can't beat him, but I'm faster than he is. Bark Mirror Emperor turned around and continued to chase after Luo Feng. The towering figure with the bloody horns raced forward in pursuit. Su! Su! Bark Mirror Emperor was proficient in tracking and hunting and possessed unparalleled speed when he accelerated. Luo Feng, even after casting the second form of Shawu Wing, couldn't match Bark Mirror Emperor, and neither could the Universe Knight. Asterisk 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 asterisk. I'll kill you, Blade River Emperor, roared Bark Mirror Emperor, right on Luo Feng's heels. Then I'll escape. He waved his paws, and threads of undying began to concentrate again. Fight. Luo Feng had been lucky that the bloody horned figure showed up, and forced Bark Mirror Emperor to manipulate his threads to deal with the real threat. But now, Bark Mirror Emperor knew he was not the Universe Knight's match and resumed focusing on killing Luo Feng. Luo Feng had no time to think. His erratic movements had brought him back around, almost in a full circle. He shook his wings and dove directly into 9 Remoteness Whirlpool. Hong. Long. Long. 9 Remoteness Whirlpool possessed an incredible tearing, all-consuming current. Luo Feng was sucked inside the moment he touched it. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Bark Mirror Emperor saw Blade River Emperor dive into 9 Remoteness Whirlpool, just as he finished condensing his threads. No, he shouted in exasperation. Bark Mirror Emperor was powerful, but even he didn't dare to go into the 9 Remoteness Whirlpool. As for Luo Feng, he could only resort to taking this last-ditch effort. Bark Mirror Emperor's only choice now was to flee for his life from the Horned Universe Knight. My 2 true treasures. Bark Mirror Emperor growled through clenched teeth, flying out of the ocean and up in the sky. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Hong. The bloody horned figure of the Universe Knight stepped out of the ocean and onto the rolling waves. It looked up, just in time to see Bark Mirror Emperor teleport and disappear. The Universe Knight smirked. Was it something I said? The bloody horned figure re-entered the ocean and swam back down, approaching the 9 Remoteness Whirlpool. Without hesitation, it dove into the whirlpool. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Above the ocean. Here Crow Knight remained behind a moment longer. He had been watching the fight and was terrified. Everyone says the 9 Remoteness Whirlpool is the portal to the core of 9 Remoteness Ocean, he said. There must be a group of great beings living there. The one that just showed up was stronger than me, and it comes from a race that's immune to soul attack. That human, Blade River Emperor, went directly into 9 Remoteness Whirlpool. Now he's dead, and his true treasures shall be lost forever in the core. What a pity. Coldness flashed in Here Crow Knight's eyes. But at least Bark Mirror Emperor doesn't have them. He gazed at the whirlpool afar. Although the 9 Remoteness Whirlpool had appeared out of nowhere, it was still there now, and it was likely to remain there for a long time. And it somehow felt enticing. As if it were luring Here Crow Knight to come in. Too risky, said Here Crow Knight, shaking off the strange feeling. A portal that appears out of nowhere and isn't God country transportation. No wonder it's the most dangerous place of 9 Remoteness space. He teleported himself and disappeared. The moment he entered the 9 Remoteness Whirlpool, Luo Feng felt an immense, tearing current the likes of which he'd never encountered before. He felt like he had been caught beneath a millstone grinding grain. His body crackled, and his face twisted. The current alone will annihilate me. Luo Feng realized, terrified. Seal Star. Su. A seal star appeared, a sealing treasure with a space inside, and Luo Feng wriggled into it. As long as he hid in it, attacks from the outside would be significantly weakened. However, there was a major downside to doing so. Since the seal star couldn't fly quickly or dodge independently, enemies could grab hold of it. This made it practically useless when trying to avoid a pursuer, such as fleeing Bark Mirror Emperor. It was a beautiful world inside the seal star. Beams of golden light flashed through the sky above the boundless solid ground. Luo Feng merged his mind with the seal star, and used his spiritual force to detect the external world around the star. It's kind of like the wormholes of the secret region, thought Luo Feng. Previously, a wormhole had sent to the 5-colored pool, and luckily, he had gotten the space heart as a result. Well, here I am, he said. But as Luo Feng felt the surroundings becoming steady, he inspected the external world, and his heart missed a beat. He could distinctly sense an army formed by life forms of other races, all of whom had red, burly bodies and bloody horns. They appeared to be of the same race as the Universe Knight that had chased after Bark Mirror Emperor. A squad of warriors closest to the portal of the whirlpool suddenly flew toward it, approaching the Seal Star. "Huh! A valuable," one said. "What valuable is it?" said another. When they felt a spiritual force passing through their bodies, all of them started to roar furiously. An invader from another race. Other races trespassing. Sue. The star disappeared, instantly replaced by a silver-armored, silver-winged man. Luo Feng looked around and saw 300 warriors, all of whom were undying fighters. The leader had such powerful energy that he might have been an invincible emperor. Luo Feng felt numb. Even the human race did not have the ability to deploy 300 undying fighters to guard a single area. For a random squad stationed here to be so strong, he thought, looking around in astonishment. According to my knowledge of this place, this isn't the only 9 remoteness whirlpool in 9 remoteness ocean. I wonder if all of them are so heavily guarded. Many of the bloody-horned warriors grew eager, like predators in the presence of prey. "Sorry," said Luo Feng. "Can't stick around." "Sue." Luo Feng shook his wing and started to fly away. "Intruder," one of them roared. "Quick! Go after him," the captain shouted. "First team and second team, follow me. Third team, stay here. Howl! Howl!" Suddenly, one bloody shadow after another flew up into the sky, roaring and raced toward Luo Feng. As soon as Luo Feng breached the ocean, he felt the stark difference between the outside world and the sky and land, which were so different from other districts in 9 remoteness space. Stars shone in the sky, and a blurry, bloody mist permeated the air, giving the entire sky and land unparalleled strength. "The resistance is so strong," he said. Suddenly, he realized that the strange strength here stopped the space ripple completely, thus suppressing God-country transportation. "No teleportation," he muttered in disbelief. "No God-country transportation." Finally, Luo Feng understood why even Universe Knight-level great beings could only arrive here through the 9 remoteness whirlpool. Teleportation and God-country transportation were impossible. Howl! Ha ha ha! Laughing voices blasted Luo Feng's ears with undying energy. He looked back to see a multitude of bloody figures dashing toward him. "Foreign invader," roared the captain. "This sky and land belong to our race. While you are heavily suppressed here, we are unaffected. There's no way you can get away." Luo Feng could feel the bloody mist suppressing the space ripple, yet these creatures flew unaffected. "You, merely undying fighters, want to catch up with me?" Luo Feng said. "Heng." His Shawu wings ripped through the air, causing space turbulence as his speed surged, and he shot into the distance. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The warriors could only watch as the intruder flew farther and farther away. Soon, he became a small, silver spot, then vanished. They stood there, perplexed and staring at each other. How could he be so fast, they asked one another. He's only an undying fighter from a foreign race. How can he be faster than us here in our homeland? The 300 undying warriors were unprepared for this. They were highly experienced in dealing with foreign invaders. The speed of undying fighters of other races was always sharply reduced when they entered their homeland, thus allowing them to easily outpace any intruders. If it was a Universe Knight, they would immediately report it and ask the Universe Knights of their race to take up the matter, but this one had only been a normal undying fighter. "Damn it!" roared the biggest of the bloody-horned warriors. "We let an undying fighter from another race get away." The warriors looked to their captain. "What should we do, Captain?" "What now?" The burly figure growled, "We report what happened, of course. Unless you want to die. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Stars shone in the sky, dimmed by the bloody mist hanging over the land. Mountains, streams, and forests covered the land. When Luo Feng finally felt confident that he had evaded the 300 warriors, he slowed to a halt and looked around. Such a large world, he said. I've flown 6 billion miles already and haven't encountered any other life forms. This race must only have a small number of creatures, but they are all incredibly powerful. He sat down with his legs crossed. No teleportation, and no God country transportation, he thought. Which means I can't break out of here. All I can do is wait to be killed by this race like a lamb awaiting the slaughter. Luo Feng checked his coordinates and found that, strangely, this sky and land were at the bottom of the Nine Remoteness Ocean. I'm at the center of Nine Remoteness Ocean, he muttered to himself. According to my coordinates, it's still inside Nine Remoteness space. Though I can't teleport myself, my Mosha body could use his talent technique domain to get in, he thought. As long as Mosha body isn't also hunted, he should be able to get here without any trouble. I'll wait here first, he said. Mosha body has been floating for such a long time on his approach to the World Tree, and it's only a month before he reaches the final stage of the mission. Luo Feng pondered the situation for a while and concluded that what happened around him was already beyond his control, whereas he was confident that Mosha body could get a twig and leaf of the World Tree this time. I can't give up now, he decided. Besides, escape is not guaranteed, even if Mosha body were to enter now. I need to get in touch with my teacher first. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Just as Luo Feng connected to Primal Chaos City Leader through the virtual universe, members of the indigenous race were communicating with each other through the virtual world they had set up in Nine Remoteness space. In an opulent palace in an ancient city, at the center of Nine Remoteness space, a burly black-armored universe knight roared with fury. A foreign invader. You can't even catch an undying fighter from another race. Follow me, my children. Yes, General. The burly universe knight led an elite team of 10 warriors to fly out from the city. Mama Tuor, a voice said within the universe knight's head. His godly body trembled before he stopped, and the warriors behind him followed his lead. General, the warriors said, confused. It was the prince, the burly universe knight said in a deep voice. Prince. The 10 captain-level elite warriors were all started. They quickly began to grovel, along with their general, as in the distance, tens of creatures flew out of the most towering palace of the ancient city. 3 of them were unbelievably powerful. They reached the group in no time. Your Highness, the universe knight-level general said, bowing to show respect. Your Highness, echoed the 10 warriors behind him as they kneeled. The leader of the creatures that had just arrived had a handsome face covered in red engravings. He wore gorgeous armor of gold and red, emanating a powerful ripple that could only have come from a true treasure. He was the prince, and he stood apart from all the others of his race. He looked as if he were from a different race entirely. General Mama Tuor, said the prince in a fair voice. I just heard that a team under your command found a foreign invader. He's only an undying fighter, yet he managed to escape your team. Yes, Your Highness, the burly general answered respectfully. Interesting, the prince continued. An undying fighter with such power. I heard that out of the heirs in the ancestral god school, some undying fighters are mighty. I'm also undying. Who's better? I wonder. Him or me? You have invincible power, Your Highness, answered General Mama Tuor. That invader is not your match. We can't underestimate other races, the prince said. Lead the way. Let's go hunt this undying fighter from another race. The burly general was dazed. You're afraid that I might run into danger? The prince asked. No, that's not what I meant, Your Highness, the general answered. Humph. All of my 107 brothers are still alive, the prince said confidently. How dangerous can it be? Go. Yes, Your Highness, the general said, with no choice but to follow orders. Sue. The great beings departed to hunt down this undying fighter alongside their prince. At the apex of Thunder Island in the virtual universe, outside the palace surrounded by fog, Luo Feng showed up. Things are out of my control, Luo Feng said, standing in front of the palace and pondering what had happened. If I can't get out there, my treasures will get taken away. It'll be difficult to get them back. Luo Feng, said a voice. Luo Feng was dazed and turned his head. He saw someone in a golden cape standing beside the cliff. It was Primal Chaos City Leader, who was overlooking Thunder Island below him. Luo Feng walked towards him and saluted. Teacher. Primal Chaos City Leader glimpsed at Luo Feng and smiled. You came here to see me, but you're wandering outside the door. You told me before you were going to 9 remoteness space to find the twigs and leaves of world trees to breed your third body. What happened? Did something go wrong? Luo Feng answered respectfully, I've been following my plan with the world trees, and I hope I can get some. However, something happened to my original Earthling body. Primal Chaos City Leader looked at Luo Feng. My original Earthling body was hiding in Rock Island, the safest place in 9 remoteness space, but I didn't expect another group of heirs to arrive. One of them was Bark Mirror Emperor. He's famous for his tracking skills, and that was how he found me. He's jealous of my true treasures, and he attacked me. Bark Mirror Emperor. Primal Chaos City Leader was startled. How did you escape if he attacked you? Have you lost your true treasures to him? No. Luo Feng shook his head. I got away. You got away. Primal Chaos City Leader was bewildered. Although he's only an undying fighter, he can rival a universe knight, especially with his talent technique. I have another true treasure to protect my soul, Luo Feng said. Another true treasure. Primal Chaos City Leader furrowed his brow. He could infer from Luo Feng's past battles that Luo Feng's spiritual force weapon was a true treasure, but he didn't expect him to have a third true treasure that could protect his soul. Luo Feng, he said, how many true treasures do you have now? Luo Feng was a bit embarrassed. 3. Shawu Wing, spiritual force weapon, and a true treasure to protect my soul. Only 3. Only 3. Primal Chaos City Leader said. I only had 1 true treasure when I was a Sector Lord. Count yourself lucky. Luo Feng was a bit perturbed. What if Primal Chaos City Leader Teacher asked him where he had obtained the other 2 true treasures? Even if you have a true treasure to protect your soul, Bark Mirror Emperor has the power of a universe knight and won't let you go that easily, said Primal Chaos City Leader. Luo Feng was relieved that his teacher didn't ask where the 2 true treasures had come from. Otherwise, he would have to lie. After all, Star Tower was the biggest secret. True treasures like Star Map and Shawu Wing were looked down upon by lots of universe masters, who gave them to the great beings of their own races. True treasures like Sky Wolf Palace were desired by universe masters, and true treasures like Thousand Treasure River were craved for by universe masters. As for the top-tier ones like Star Map, they would send the races of the universe into a frenzy. Even by the most powerful beings in the universe longed for them, just like 5-color Aurora Lake, which protected the greatest power in the universe. Luo Feng knew that the secret of Star Tower could not be exposed before he could fully control it. Otherwise, no matter how many people were on his side, he wouldn't be able to stop the mad desire of the other great beings. Theoretically, I wouldn't have gotten away, said Luo Feng. However, he was chasing me in the 9 remoteness space. I found the 9 remoteness whirlpool, and thought it would be difficult to get the true treasures back if they fell into the hands of Bark Mirror Emperor. Although the 9 remoteness whirlpool is famously hazardous, I figured I wouldn't die instantly, at least, so I dove into the whirlpool. He paused for a moment. 9 remoteness whirlpool was kind of similar to a wormhole. I went to another world. A group of special organisms live there, all of whom are tall and red with bloody horns. There are hundreds of undying fighters of another race guarding the entry point. Luckily, I managed to escape. I think there will be more great beings coming after me, and I can neither teleport nor cast God country transportation in that world. The only thing I can do is to stall. The sky and land there are enormous, so I might be able to avoid detection for a while. Primal Chaos City leader nodded his head mildly. You did the right thing. Bark Mirror Emperor comes from the Northern Territory Alliance, and their behavior has been tyrannical. You won't get your belongings back if you lose them to them. Luo Feng began to sweat. Tower Pearl was connected to the most vital things. Although it was unlikely that Bark Mirror Emperor would recognize that, Star Tower would acknowledge someone as its master only after the Tower Pearl merged with that creature's soul, which was why it had to be protected at all costs. Luo Feng looked at Primal Chaos City leader. What should I do now? Ha ha. Are you asking a favor now? Said Primal Chaos City leader, a smile on his face. I've never been to the Ancestral God secret region, and I know little about it, but I know some of the most terrifying beings in the Ancestral God secret regions, who can roam the universe. What are the universe coordinates of this strange land? Below 9 remoteness ocean, Luo Feng said. Primal Chaos City leader nodded. Then I've guessed correctly. I can only sense the keepsake you left there, and it's being interfered with by that realm. There are only a few beings in the universe that are capable of doing that. Luo Feng was startled. That was the saving object his teacher had given to him, and it was used to call for help from his teacher in a crucial moment. I've never been to 9 remoteness space, but I know the master of 9 remoteness space is called 9 remoteness master, said Primal Chaos City leader. The sky and land you're currently in is his home. 9 remoteness master. Luo Feng blinked his eyes. That's right. He's a universe master. Of course, you mustn't compare him with Master of Sky Wolf. 9 remoteness master is at least as powerful as me. Luo Feng was shocked. At least as powerful as his teacher. Primal Chaos City leader had 3 bodies, and all of which were incredibly powerful. To think that 9 remoteness master was his teacher's equal. 9 remoteness master can roam the universe, and almost no one is his better. Primal Chaos City leader continued. Even the Ancestral God School treats him with respect, and the 3 ancestral gods are friends with him. 9 remoteness master deals with things that they and the beast gods find tricky. Luo Feng listened carefully. He is mighty, Primal Chaos City leader said. Especially in 9 remoteness space, his home. There, he is invincible, and no one in the universe can possibly defeat him. Luo Feng opened his eyes wide. There was no need for his teacher to lie to him. Everybody said Primal Chaos City leader was unbeatable while within the primal universe. Little did they know that 9 remoteness master was also undefeatable while in 9 remoteness space. In 9 remoteness space, he can realize his full potential, Primal Chaos City leader explained. The most powerful world tree, and some other beings that have the power of universe masters, as long as they live in 9 remoteness space, they all serve 9 remoteness master. That's why other supreme beings of the universe are reluctant to go there. They are at a disadvantage in 9 remoteness space. I also don't want to go to that place. Undying fighters and universe knights are willing to venture there for a chance to acquire some valuables, but real universe masters are not. 9 remoteness master is always ruthless. It's difficult for him to kill a universe master in other places, but in his 9 remoteness space, it's easy for him to do so. Luo Feng was amazed. He had never expected such a supreme being to be hidden in 9 remoteness space. The heirs throughout history only knew basic facts of that realm. They were not strong enough to make this supreme being show himself. His invincible, Luo Feng said, thinking about his destiny. Teacher is invincible in the primal universe, and 9 remoteness master is invincible in 9 remoteness space. Can I be like them, undefeatable in the universe, someday in the future? They were only invincible in certain places, but it was a tempting thought. As long as they placed one of their bodies in that place, they were immortal. Primal Chaos City Leader did not answer but said, 9 remoteness master is my equal, and we have cooperated several times. Besides, he owes me a favor. Owes you a favor? Luo Feng said. If you really run into danger and can't manage to escape, Primal Chaos City Leader said, looking at Luo Feng, shout out, 9 remoteness space, I'm a disciple of chaos. 9 remoteness master controls 9 remoteness space completely. Nothing that happens there can be hidden from him. He'll know when you shout out. No matter what kind of danger you're in, he'll make sure you're safe. Luo Feng understood. I only ask that you don't cash in that favor if you don't need to, Primal Chaos City Leader said. Do it only if there's literally nothing else you can do. Luo Feng was moved, and he nodded. I understand. Returning a favor was no easy matter. A supreme being like 9 remoteness master owing a favor. This was so rare that it was as worthy of a true treasure. If you do shout out, you can request that he do something for you, Primal Chaos City Leader said. For instance, you can tell him that you want the leaves and twigs of that Sector Lord level world tree. He'll say yes to this kind of request. But remember, such a favor will not be easy to return. I understand. Luo Feng nodded solemnly. He still had Mosha body, which at least gave him a small chance of escape. He wouldn't cash in the favor unless he was at an impasse. Primal Chaos City Leader smiled and said, go. Yes, teacher. Luo Feng saluted the leader and disappeared. This video will end here.